All right, it's 135 to Beat Miami's new number one for hip-hop, R&B, and The Breakfast Club. It's Wednesday, the stage, a platform for people doing amazing things in and for the community. And I have Tamarac Commissioner Mike Gelin. Did I say it right?
Gelin.
Yeah, that's what I said. Mike Gelin. You're not listening, man.
I got you.
Let's get him a Q-tip, man. You didn't hear me. Oh, my bad, man.
That's all good.
Mike Gelin is here with me, and you have an amazing story. I'll just say this much, and I'll allow you to kind of pick up and tell us the story. But pretty much, you were falsely accused of something from a BSO officer, and I guess there was a ceremony happening, and this officer was there being awarded, apparently.
Yes.
And you chose that platform to speak out about that situation that happened between you and that officer, correct?
Correct.
All right, so take us back to what happened.
All right, so 4 years ago, I was at a Starbucks on the corner of Commercial and University. Two homeless guys were fighting across the street. Me and another white guy went over there to try to break it up. By the time we got over there, one of the homeless guys cracked a bottle over the head of another guy. And so we're sitting there waiting and asking for the police to call the ambulance. The police eventually got there. So I'm there for at least 3 or 4 minutes with 2 police officers there. You can hear me on video saying, where the F is the ambulance? Because this guy's on the ground suffering. Right. So I'm recording the whole time. All of a sudden, this deputy comes on the scene, and we're there chilling for a couple of minutes, no issues. One of my homeboys comes by, and I say, what's up? It happens to be Commissioner Marlon Bolton, who serves with me now. And he noticed that I was recording, and he ordered me to stop recording. So I ask him why. He tells me to back up. He tells me if I don't back up, he's going to arrest me. So, of course, I back up. Right. And I said, well, what about everybody else? Because you're only asking me to back up because I'm recording. And once I said, what about everybody else? He just arrested me. Wow. So for no reason, I didn't commit any crime. I didn't break any laws. He just arrested me.
Took you to jail?
Took me to jail in the back of the police car, embarrassed me, humiliated me. I'm meeting Commissioner Bolton for the first time. And all of a sudden, you know.
And you're being arrested?
I'm being arrested. Then I was put in the paddy wagon. I was sent to Pompano Beach, then put in a paddy wagon, sent downtown. So I was locked up.
And that's scary.
That's scary. Yeah.
Because they put you in that paddy wagon. You feel like you can't breathe. I've been in one. And you feel like you can't breathe. It's dark, and unless they want to put on a light in the air.
No seatbelt.
Yeah, no seatbelt, so you're bouncing around.
Yep.
And this was as a commissioner?
No, this was 4 years ago. Okay. I had ran for mayor in 2014 and lost.
Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, he's been in the community. He should have known who I was, but he didn't. And so I was meeting with Marlon Bolton to tell him lessons of what I learned in losing the election for mayor. Wow. He eventually became city commissioner, but I had to suffer through that humiliation and embarrassment. But within a month, less than a month, the state attorney refused to prosecute the case once he saw my video because there were lies on the police report.
So what was said on the police report? Like, why did he say that you resisted arrest?
Yeah, so that was just a made-up story. I did not resist arrest. He said on his police report that he told me I could video from another area. That's not true. He ordered me to stop videoing. And so he just made up the story. He made up lies to justify the arrest because there was no reason to arrest me.
Wow.
So, you know, that stayed in the back of my mind for many years. And what also stayed in the back of my mind is how many other people has he done this to in the last 4 years, and how many people will he do this to if I don't speak out?
Wow. So this moment happens now where after all these years and you dealing with that, and people don't understand, like, you know, these are moments in our lives, but they affect, you know, your relationship with police, how you talk to maybe your kids or family about police. It's like a domino effect.
Most
people
definitely.
don't really wrap their head around of how it's life-changing.
Yes. In fact, I considered not running for office last year because I knew my mugshot was out there on the internet.
Wow.
So it has a big impact.
Yes. So tell me about this moment now where you're able to actually confront. He was being awarded for something?
Yeah, so he did something, you know, he did something good. He stopped a driver who was driving recklessly, and he ran the license plate and happened to be someone who was wanted for murder in another country.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, he stopped the guy. They got into a little fight. He had some backup, and they arrested the guy. So he was being awarded for that, and I commend him for that. But, you know, when I saw his name on the list, I got that flashback, and it brought me back to that day. And so, you know, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I did want to see him, you know, face to face, eye to eye, and you let him know that the person that he arrested is a commissioner now. But when that moment came, when I called him down, you know, I just felt like I had to let him know that what he did to me was wrong, And, you know, so I just called them out.
So the original thought process was just to say, hey, you know, years later you arrested a commissioner, but something else came over you?
Yeah, something else came over me where I said to myself, you know, is it going to be right to let this moment pass without saying something? Because then for me, in his mind, it might be okay for him to continue to arrest people and lie on a police report and just get away with it. Because I went through the process. I filed a complaint with internal affairs, and they found it in his favor. They didn't really.
What do you mean by find in his favor?
So they just believed what he had to say over what I had to say. And they didn't. To me, they didn't fully review the video because the state attorney reviewed the video and decided not to press charges.
Right.
So the evidence was clearly there. But, you know, the police officers, unfortunately, there's a reputation that they look out for each other even when they're in the wrong. Right. And that's something that we need to clean up. There needs to be more accountability. And so in that moment, I just said, you know, I have to make a statement about this. And really, you know, I'm a public servant. I'm a public official. He's a public servant. And I basically informed the public that, you know, these are some of the injustices that people in the community suffer through.
That was a brave thing to do. Yeah. It was really, really brave, and I commend you and I thank you.
Thank you.
Because you spoke out, and I'm sure it touched so many people who've been through similar things or related to other people who've been through similar things.
I got hundreds of emails.
Wow.
From people sharing their experiences, Jewish people, white people, black people, gay people, everyone telling me stories of what they went through and how it impacted their lives. And some people have said, you know, they hate police officers forever because of this. So, you know, we need to do a better job of helping them clean up their reputation, but they have to be in on it also.
These are some of the emails.
Yes.
I'm sure there's more pouring in right now as we speak.
For sure.
Let's talk about now.
Yes.
And, you know, thank you again.
Yes.
You know, really, that was extremely brave. And you did it with class.
Thank you.
You know, it was out of a movie. You know, like that was, I thought I was watching a movie, how well it played out, you know? Right. But let's talk about some of the responses you were getting. We talked about the good ones.
Yes.
What are some of the negative responses you got out of that?
So immediately, so I've always been a supporter of police officers. I have personal friends who are police officers, and even still police officers who reached out to me and said they want to help come up with a solution. But immediately, the Police Benevolent Association, who endorsed my candidacy, they pulled their endorsement. They also called for a boycott of my business. I got a lot of threatening calls from all over the country. My Facebook was being bombarded with hate speech and racist speech, all kind of speech. But there are some people who even...
When you say threatening calls, sorry.
Yeah.
When you say threatening calls, like threatening your life and your family?
Just telling me I need to be on the lookout. So very coded language, but let me know to be careful. So I did report that in to be investigated, but it was a scary time. You know, my wife definitely wasn't comfortable, and she supported me throughout this whole time. But it's had a negative impact. And even still, there are people in the law enforcement community who look at me as an enemy, and they really shouldn't. When you criticize one police officer, they think you're criticizing all police. Right. I'm not. It was one police officer I called out after congratulating everybody else.
And shook their hands.
Yeah.
So with the negativity that comes and the positivity that comes, we spoke off air about it, that there was a gap that you wanted to bridge. What would you like to see come out of this? Because what you did, again, I want to be clear, was extremely brave.
Yeah.
But what would you like to see come out of what happened in that stand that you took?
So what I don't want to do is waste the moment. So when you look at what happened with DeLuca Roll and the McDonald's incident, nothing has happened since then.
Right.
So I don't want to waste the moment. So right now what I'm doing is I'm bringing police officers together, policy people together. I'm going to meet with the sheriff, with the state attorney's office, with the American Civil Liberties Union, with the Bar Association, and come up with some policies and practices that we can implement to protect people. And also, I want to recommend more stress relieving activities for police officers. They have a tough job. They have a stressful job. We also the video of the police officer that punched the guy in the hospital who was already handcuffed. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a level of frustration that he reached. So there needs to be some stress management techniques that needs to be taught. But some policies I want to see change. For example, when you get arrested, the very next day, your mugshot's on the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah.
It's all over the internet. So I'd like to see a moratorium where maybe you have 90 days before that mugshot is publicized. So the person who's arrested, who may be innocent,
has a chance
to take it down. because that can impact your life forever. Before a company does a background check, they do a Google search. So if that comes up, you're not going to get that job.
Yeah.
Something else I want to see happen is, when I was arrested, I assumed that the guy was going to delete the video that I recorded. And so when I went to the jail, I asked for a pen and paper to write down my statement while it was fresh in my mind. And you don't have an opportunity to write your written statement. So the state attorney's office will decide whether or not they're going to prosecute you based on the police report. And so if that's full of lies and you don't have an opportunity to give your statement, how are they going to decide whether to prosecute or not?
Wow.
So there are some things that we can do policy-wise to make some changes and put some accountability standards in place so that the community feels like they have a fair shot if they're done wrong by police officers. But in my experience, 90% of police officers have been fair to me.
Wow. Well, that's pretty high for a black man. We'll say that. I mean, unless you're looking at them to endorse you again, man, that's pretty high, bro.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That's pretty high. Where would you like to? I'm going to ask you two more questions.
Sure.
Where would you like to see your political career go from here?
I've never really had long political aspirations. I mean, maybe at the highest level, maybe a county commissioner.
Right.
But right now, I just want to do what the people expect me to do.
Right.
So, vote in favor of what they want. So, for example, I passed a small business and a local business ordinance in Tamarac. I'm going to pass a minority business ordinance sometime next year. We got passed earlier this year medical marijuana in the city of Tamarac.
Thank you.
So, doing things that the people want benefits them, and if they support me, then they'll elect me to higher office. But I'm not a regular politician. Some people have emailed me and said, "Oh, you're never going to win another election based on what you did." And I feel like as long as you do what you think is right, the people will support you.
Big facts. Let's get a little history on yourself. Where you from? Where'd you go to school? And let's talk a little bit about the businesses you have as well.
Okay, yeah. So born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Went to Canarsie High School.
BK.
That's right.
All right.
Then came down my sophomore year. Went to Plantation High School. Graduated from Morris Brown College. My first job was at a company called Enron in Houston. That company collapsed. Yeah. Then I've been in the insurance industry for about 15 years and just started my own business about 5 years ago as an
congratulations.
consultant. Thank you.
Let's talk about that business. What do you do?
So I'm an insurance broker, and I advise small and large businesses on what benefits to offer to their employees. So,
oh, my gosh. I was just talking about how trash my company's insurance is and how difficult it is to choose an insurance and all these different things. Yes. Can you help with that?
They can. Hire me as the broker, and I'll make things happen.
No, I need you to help me right now. Because
I can help you. I can help you.
I was lost, man.
Yes.
I didn't know what to pick. Oh, my goodness. It's so difficult. And then I feel like I got hit over the head.
Yeah. And, and insurance is important, particularly if you're married, you have a mortgage, you have kids. Important to buy life insurance. So if something happens to you, you can pass something on to your spouse and to your children. So this is a busy time of the year for me because a lot of my clients have open enrollment season.
Yes.
Which you guys probably have here. So that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
So how can people connect with you and your company?
My website is GelinBenefitsGroup.com. I'm all over social media as well. And of course, I'm on Instagram as Commissioner Gelin and all the social media platforms.
Tell us about the city of Tamarac.
So the city of Tamarac is a young and growing city. It used to be a senior citizen community. It's now getting younger, a lot of development, so more housing there, more businesses are growing there. I've been there for about 15 years now, serving as a commissioner for less than a year, but making things happen. And it's a great city, great parks, great people, and it's a diverse city.
How long is your term in Tamarac?
My term is 4 years, so I'll be up for re-election in 2022.
Oh, that's what's up. So you got a lot of time to make some changes and make things happen there.
Most definitely.
Congratulations on that. On the flip side, what would you say to people who think that you're here today and all the stuff that you're doing on Facebook, it's, publicity and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, that's not the case at all. So I talked about my arrest publicly.
I know that.
Yes,
but,
yes.
Just to speak to it.
Most definitely. So I talked about my arrest.
Just for the record, too, sorry to cut you.
No problem.
I asked him to come on my show.
Yeah.
He did not reach out to me. I saw the story, and I wanted him to come up and share it, just to be clear.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Yeah, so I talked about my arrest publicly since I became commissioner. While commissioner, we had a strategic planning meeting, and I talked about the city of Tamarac having their own police department, not because I have anything against BSO, but because I believe in community policing, where the police officer knows people in the community.
Yes, I'm big on that too.
And that was voted down. Something else I want to pass is ban the box in Tamarac. So people who do have a record have a chance to get a job in the city of Tamarac. And ban the box really should be everywhere. The NYU Law School did a study that showed there are more people with police records, with arrest records, than with college degrees. And so that's a problem. We know we have a mass incarceration problem in the U.S., and it starts at the local level. When you have all these false arrests or minor arrests, it leads to the mass incarceration. Yeah. And so we need to fix that.
That is amazing. I want to thank you again, Commissioner, for being so brave. Thank you for sharing your story with my audience. It's something that I felt, Annie too, I want to give her some credit.
Yes.
She felt, I felt it was something that needed to be said and something that we can share with our audience. I think they can appreciate it. And really, you know, the moral is just to speak up and speak out. And, you know, I myself, you know, it's on a lot lower level dealing with my homeowners association. But, you know, even dealing with that, you know, you have to do things the right way too.
That's right. That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
That's
like there's a lot of ways you could have responded in that situation, but even if it took 5 years to, you know, and for you to do it that way was epic. Totally epic and a great example. And if it wasn't for you speaking out, you wouldn't have that stack, and I'm sure many more of people who've been through the same thing to be able to relate and understand and get a win.
That's right.
We got to win. We got to win with that.
Yeah,
and it's not. And it's not. It's a necessary thing, because if people want to be concerned with, you know, the police officer and his feelings and stuff like that, I mean, he's human too, and he was definitely shamed, you know, in that scenario. But so are you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? On
Absolutely.
a worse level.
Absolutely.
Because at least when you said what you had to say to him, he got to walk away and go in a normal car and drive off.
Right.
You didn't.
Right. I spent 9 hours in jail.
Yeah. You were put in a paddy wagon.
Yeah.
You were, you know, demoralized. You know, so many layers to the things that you went through.
Right.
And I don't think people wrap their heads around that.
They don't.
You know
People underestimate the trauma that you go through when you have an arrest, and the embarrassment and the humiliation, and dealing with the legal system afterwards. You know, trying to find a good lawyer. I mean, there's a whole process you have to go through.
It's crazy. And talking about that, because even the scenario that I was in the paddy wagon could have been a similar situation, because I was outside of a club on South Beach, and a girl was just assaulted. I'm telling you, similar. A girl was just assaulted by someone, and I knew the girl.
Right.
And the guy left, and I went there to
console
her.
Yeah.
And she's holding on to me, and the officer's telling me to move, but she's holding on to me.
Right.
And I'm trying to, like, yo, you know, like, figure this out. I'm human, you know what I'm saying? And I know the girl, and she's, and I understand he probably thinks that I'm the assaulter, and I'm trying to hush her up. I got that. I wrapped my head around that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they went through the process of arresting me. I went in the paddy wagon on South Beach, so I had to be next to derelicts, this, that, the other, in that paddy wagon, and they didn't put the lights on. I thought I was gonna die.
You know,
I really did. And then, luckily for me, when I went through the Miami Beach Police Department, an officer recognized me as a personality or whatever, and was like, "Oh, he's good," and I walked right out. But if that guy wasn't there at that moment, I would have had a similar story. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't resisting or wasn't doing anything wrong, and the girl was holding on to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and again, if I experienced that and I got lucky, so to speak, but you didn't, and think about how many other people.
Exactly. So what happens to the people that don't have a video? Don't have witnesses. They have to go through the process because a cop had a bad day, and then they end up paying the price. Yep.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gelin.
Yes.
Appreciate you. Appreciate your time, man. I know you got to get back to the city of Tamarac and your business, man. But thank you once again for sharing your story. How can people connect and follow you and get to know more about you?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram as Commissioner Gelin, on Facebook at Mike G for Tamarac, and Twitter at Mike G for Tamarac. and just a Google search. Hopefully you don't see that mugshot on the Google search.
And listen, feel free to share your stories and send them emails, because apparently, you know, this means something to you as well.
Yeah, most definitely.
When people connect with you, you know what I mean? So hit him up and let him know about your experiences, so he can also share with others, and maybe that pile that he has that seems to get thicker and thicker as he goes through his travels can play a role into having people understand how serious this problem is. You know what I mean?
Email address is mike.gelin, Gelin, @tamarac.org.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.